Dr. Zaid, go ahead.
What up? All right, I have a question. I have a couple questions. A couple people have asked me questions, and I have a second part to this. But we're talking about the Vegas deal with Borland Capital, right?
Okay.
So it's a 8-year total deal. I split it year 0 to 3, year 3 to 8. And I'm going to show you why in a second. Let's use an example. This is my example. I'm investing $100,000. So $100,000 invested today. Over the first 3 years, we're in the construction phase, right?
Right.
And we're getting 10% on our money over the first 3 years.
Correct.
Okay, so on $100,000, we have two payments that you guys are going to give us at the 9-month mark and the 36-month mark, right?
Correct. At 9 months, because we're going to be getting the construction loan.
Okay, so I got that. So construction loan at 9 months. This makes sense to me. Paid out $7,500. That's just math.
Correct.
And at the 36-month mark, again, 10% interest, paid out $22,500. That also makes sense to me. This is the part I don't understand. It also says that you're going to give us 60 to 65% of our principal investment back at the 3-year mark. In this example, it's like 63 grand.
Correct.
I don't understand how is
Because at that time, we're going to be getting the end loan. The property's stabilized. It's done being built. We're filling it up with tenants. We're going to get the end loan, which is going to be a 5-year loan.
Got you.
And at this time, the property will be worth around $100 million. And remind you, it costs us around $68 million to build. So at that time, we're going to have enough equity in there that we're going to be able to pull out extra money to pay the investors back the 10% preferred return plus 60 to 63% of their equity back. So at this time, at the 36-month mark, as you can see, you're going to have about 93% of your initial investment back in hand.
I told this to somebody today. They said that's not possible.
Yeah.
Now, but I didn't know that.
Sure.
So before you guys have a single tenant, I'm going to get 90% of my money back.
Correct.
Okay. That's all right. We'll come back to this in a second.
So that's year 3.
So I want to ask you another question, but we'll go on. So at year 3, the building is built. We have tenants. We have cash flow. From my understanding, over the next 5 years, year 3 to year 8, we're averaging anywhere between 11 to 15% return on the 35% that's left in the investment, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so in this example, it's roughly 36 grand. So that's where we get this number.
Correct.
So 23,398 is an average of 11 to 15% on what's left in the deal.
Correct. The exception is the fine print. Year 5, the loan goes from interest only to interest and principal, and the rate of return drops to 8%, which is the year that we're going to be selling.
Right. So when you say year 5, it's actually year 8
Correct.
total in the deal. Okay, that makes sense because that's liquidation year.
Yep.
All right, good. And then this is quarterly?
That starts in year 3, you start getting your interest payments quarterly. Correct.
Okay, so we'll have 20 payments. That makes like 23 grand.
Correct.
Okay, now, the liquidation event, we're planning on year 8. This is coming off a sale, right? So it's noted in the pro forma, the profit that we're going to get here. I know you guys said, what were the numbers?
So we've got a guaranteed build price of approximately $68 million. The property at that time should be worth anywhere from 110 to 120 million. We're going to split those profits among investors. It's an 80-20 split. 80% go into the investors, 20% go into the general partners. And you're going to get your percent based on your initial investment, the amount of shares that you were given based on your initial investment. So your initial investment still remains as far as the shares goes. And in this case, if you invested 100,000, your profit comes out to approximately 108,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
year 8, between the 108,000 that you got from the sale, plus all of the interest, the total profit is around $161,000 over the 8 years from your initial investment of 100,000.
So we had from the liquidation event 108.
Yep.
The 5 years of interest paid, the 23.
Yep.
The 9 months of interest paid.
Yep.
And then the 27 additional months
Correct.
of interest paid. We're not counting this because this is just return money. This is our
Correct.
equity that we got back.
Correct.
Okay, so that makes sense.
So right now you got 161,000.
So we're profiting. All right, this is what I want to ask you before I start spreading this around to my investors.
Okay.
Anybody that's doing this deal wants to make a lot of money. I want to make a lot of money. I don't leave money in the bank. This whole model is saying that at 36 months or at 3 years, I just take this 93 grand and I pocket it.
Put it in the bank. That's what.
Put it in the bank.
That's what some people might do.
My question to you, and you already know because you're you, and my question is why don't I take this 93? Let's just call this 90 to make it easy.
Yeah.
Why don't I take this 90K and do it in the Houston deal we did with Borland?
Yeah.
I'll just use that as an example. that was like a 23% IRR
Correct.
average, and it was
averaging around 23% a year on
and
your
it was
investment.
it was a 5-year deal,
Yep.
and that roughly means over 5 years you're gonna double this money.
Correct.
So if I started with 90, and I should also tell you, I'm picking a 5-year deal because I want this second deal that I do to mature at the same time that the initial Vegas deal is gonna mature.
Correct.
This is an 8-year deal.
Yes.
This is what I'm doing at 3 years.
Yes.
I picked 5 years. This takes me to year 8
You're going to reinvest that money into another deal.
to another fund.
Yep.
And I took this 90K, and remember, 20 to 23% IRR.
Yep.
Let's be conservative. Let's take it at
Correct.
20, which that deal I think was like a 23% IRR.
Yep.
Anyways, this 90 ends up being 180K at year 8. And remember,
Correct.
at year 8, Vegas also matured and gave me a profit of 161. This gave me a profit of 90K.
Correct.
So my total. So let's go all the way back to today.
Correct.
I'm investing $100,000.
Correct.
Off the Vegas deal alone, I'm profiting 161.
Correct.
And off the additional, I call it like a parlay deal. A parlay deal that I did, I profited 90.
Correct.
So what's 90 plus 160?
250,000 approximately. 250.
So I profited,
251,000.
yeah.
$250,000 off of the initial $100,000 investment. You got it, man. You're just being aggressive with the money that you get in year 3 instead of taking it sitting in the bank and letting the bank take your money and invest it. You're reinvesting it right away into another deal and making $90,000 on that money. Total of $250,000 on your initial $100,000 investment. You're profiting $250,000.
It's unbelievable.
Remember, you only got to get rich once. Nice job. You get it.
I'm getting it.